And what I found out, and the only message I want to get across to people is once you change one thing, your mindset, you can attack everything. And I find it fascinating. I'm fascinated because I'll be in these moments. I put these guys on some fucking pedestal.
Yeah. Which people do with you.
They do with me, and they shouldn't. And I was this guy who was a piece of shit looking at these, oh my God, how are you guys this amazing? But once I worked my way up there, I said, my God, man, we can all compete, motherfucker. Let's go. So do I like suffering? I like suffering in the way that is competitive, that brings out the absolute best in me and in everybody else. So like I want to see a man be defeated. I want to see a man get broken and say, fuck you. I love these men. These men I love, but there's very few of them. There's very few of them. And there's very few that are willing to go there more than once. A lot of people, even people who've gone through special ops, it kicks the shit out of them to a point where in their mind, what got me bad in pararescue was when I was going through it, I said, I'm only gonna do this one time. And so many people in special ops, whether they believe it or not, in anything, fuck special ops in anything, that's hard. I'm only doing this one time. Once you say that, you fucked yourself.
The truth, I gotta tell you, off camera, you and I were talking about something. Now we're gonna go to something cool.
Okay.
Well, we've been in something cool, but like I work with a lot of athletes when they get out of their career. They made this massive sacrifice all their life to get to the NFL. They make that thing happen. They're only willing to do it once.
Right.
And when that's over, their identity's set on that thing forever. And they just repeat the stories from that time over and over.
That's right.
And I watch them have such a difficult second half of their life. I try to help them with that. I've watched it with business people. And you and I were talking off camera. So I've started to uncover with me the last couple years that I've been on social media and teaching these things. And if you gave me that mirror test the last couple years,
right,
that accountability mirror, when I look in it, I'm starting to look at a dude who used to do some crazy shit that was cool in his life, really accomplish some things. And all these accolades, people follow you, they listen to you, they think you're something special. You have that, I have that. Clearly the differences in our lives are too vast to even venture what you've achieved. The things you've overcome are completely different than mine. But I'm starting to realize something about myself that I want to give the audience a gift of, and I want you to talk about it. You know what? I've just accepted. I'm only going to be happy when I'm grinding for something.
That's right.
I'm only going to be happy when I'm growing. I don't want to talk about stuff I used to do. I want to do something great with my life. I don't know that I can get to the mental level you have, but I think everybody here needs to know something. If you just think you're going to do something temporarily once, man, you're going to be unhappy when it's over.
That's right.
How about you right now? When you look in the mirror right now, so Goggins looks in the accounting mirror today, what does he see and what are your thoughts about that?
So, same with you. What happened with me was like, so who I was this nobody guy. And I created this Goggins. And that Goggins, there's David Goggins and there's Goggins. David Goggins is a calm, cool guy that sits back. Used to be a, weak kid. Now he's just a normal guy. Goggins is a guy that is willing to tape up his legs to go after it. In that book, you read about David Goggins and also Goggins. What I realized in my life is that Goggins is who I love. Goggins is who I created. My dad created David Goggins. I created Goggins. So what's happened with me, and since Can't Hurt Me came out, and since I got on social media, which is why I fucking don't like social media, which is why I'm not on there very much, which is why I give people one time, I have to do me. I have to do me. So people get it fucking twisted, man. I am who I am. What's in that book is me. So now what they see is this guy who's trying to get people to get off their fucking ass. That just happened to happen, man. I didn't set out. When I set out to be a fucking SEAL and set out to go to Ranger School and all this other shit I did and break records, I didn't set out to fucking please motherfuckers.
Right.
I didn't set out to say, hey, pay me now. I got a great fucking story. Fuck that. And I realize now that my life has kind of gotten to a point where people know me, I have followers and whatnot. The biggest depression of my life is you get caught up into helping so many people out, and it's great, and I love that, but you lose yourself in all of that shit. It literally, and people go, man, but my God, like you're changing. I get all that shit, man. But what the fuck is motivating you in that book? What's motivating you is the fucking stories I'm telling you about what I did in my life. Once I stop living that, I'm no more.
Yes.
I am not the fucker that you are now being motivated from. So right now in the mirror, I now got back to Goggins. I'm now back to running 100 miles a week. I'm now back to getting the fuck. I saw, and I talk to my girl about it all the time. You travel, you speak, you all this shit. It's all fucking great and dandy for most people. I'm Goggins. What makes me me is the dungeon. And yeah, and people are, well, oh my God, like they're gonna hear this, my God, you don't have any peace in your life. Don't get it fucking twisted. Weak people who hear me get all fucking poopy pants about how I talk. So be it. What changed me was I had to be hard on myself. And I have to continue to grind myself into a fine dust. Period. That's where I feel good. I feel like I accomplished something. If things come easy, it's not fun. I must fail at something repeatedly. It has to haunt me. And then once I complete it, I feel like I accomplished something. I don't want to set out and say, oh, there's an A. We're good. It's fucking stupid. No, I want to turn it in 1,000,000 times and say you failed. You failed. And I'll say, okay, roger that. And sit there and analyze what I'm doing wrong. Go to these places that people don't go to anymore because all this fucking social media shit and everything's computerized. I want to go to that dark place in my mind and say, okay, how are we going to get this done?
I think the right people are happy when they're challenged by something. Like when they're pursuing something, when they're challenged, like when they're not where they could be.
Right.
When they're not who they could be.
Right.
And you and I were talking about this off camera. It's like, I just want everybody to understand this. This is from two people who are sort of in this space. We love helping people. We love making a difference. But what makes us make a difference is the pursuit of who we've been becoming, these challenges, you and all the different ways you have, and me and my way, and millions of people in their way too. Like, I don't want people to think, I just want to get to a place and cool it. Because if you get to that place and cool it, I think you're going to be miserable. You've got to still find somewhere. And I want to kind of go in your head a little bit because I've not lived this and very few people have lived this. I want to take you back there for a minute, and then at the end I'm going to ask you what that thing looks like next for you. Okay. But so this whole thing that you did, you get out. I can't cover the whole military thing because I want them to read the book, right? But then you're like, hey, you really never done any of this before, but this is sort of the formula of what we're talking about. Then the military thing ends, and then you're like, yeah, I'm gonna go like run. I'm gonna do the Badwater 135.
My cardio was 20 minutes every Sunday on the elliptical trainer.
Okay.
That was it.
That is it.
So I'm looking at all these different races, and one comes up, number one, the hardest race in the world, Badwater 135. 135-mile race through Death Valley. I'm like, that sounds fucking nuts. But it didn't describe that it was like a couple-day race. I'm thinking, okay, that has to be like a fucking 7-day race. Because I don't know people who run like that. So I end up calling Chris Kosman up. Chris Kosman is the race director of Badwater. And he lives out here in California. He's like, hey, man. I'm like, hey, Chris. I call him up in the first conversation. I actually have all the emails in my book for me, him going back. He's a fucking stickler, man, to tell you that. So I call him up. I said, hey, man, I'm going to do this race. He's like, have you ever run 100 miles before? I'm like, no. He goes, well, to get my race, you have to do a 100-mile race. And you got to do 100 miles in 24 hours or less. There was only 2 more races I could do before the deadline dropped. And so I'm like, he goes, you live in San Diego, right? I'm like, yeah. This was Wednesday. I call him up on a Wednesday morning. He goes, well, there's a race on Saturday. And it's called the San Diego One Day at Hospitality Point in San Diego, where you run around a 1-mile track for 24 hours and see how many miles you can get. So I'm like, fuck it, man. This guy's kind of calling me out. I'm gonna get this shit done. I'm a SEAL. I'm a badass. Been through Ranger school and shit. I got this. Hardest thing I did my entire life, dude, was this one race. So I go.
Harder than getting through.
Hell yeah.
Wow.
I was not prepared
Okay.
at all. So I go, I sign up for the race, I show up, I'm this big bodybuilder looking guy,
Yeah.
shirt off, black hat on, you know, and I set out. So every mile, I'm gonna see this blue lawn chair. I had Ritz crackers and Mileplex. That was my fucking nutrition, man.
Yeah.
No water, no nothing, just Mileplex.
No water.
No. Ritz crackers and Mileplex, dude.
Come on.
I fucking, you know, 'cause I never drink water on runs and shit. I fucking didn't know about all this shit. So I go out there and I'm running. I get through 50 miles. I'm gonna cut to the chase because I detail it really well in the book. I get going. I sit down at mile 70. And buddy, I hadn't sat down yet. I sit down and everything falls the fuck apart. Literally, man, I'm like peeing blood down my leg. I have some crap coming out of me, and I got 30 fucking miles to go. And I'm in the worst shape of my entire life. And so I won't get too deep into it, man, but I end up going back through my cookie jar, and I talk about, you know, my cookie jar is basically something I invented about. We forget how badass we are when we're suffering. Because our mind just stays right there in suffering. The cookie jar is a reminder. You know how your mom used to have the cookie jar. You don't know what kind of cookie you're gonna get, but it may be oatmeal raisin, maybe a chocolate chip meat, because you know she dumps them in that motherfucker. You just grab one and go.
Yeah.
So my cookie jars, the things I've accomplished, failed at, didn't fail at, just kept on grinding through. So I take this 1 second, I calm down, so I realize, okay, man, I gotta be able to just stand up first, come all dizzy and lightheaded, and I go through this process. And I said, I might quit, but not yet. I go, this is the worst shape of my life. So I said I might quit because when you're not gonna quit something, you got 30 miles to go, your mind's spazzing. Like I'm fucked up. Like 30 miles is a long way to go, just fresh. I've already gone 70, I'm in the worst shape of my life. I'm like, okay, so I'm giving my mind some space. Because if you don't give it space, it's just gonna freak out. So I'm saying, you know what, I'm gonna quit, but let me just sit here for a second and drink some water. Now I'm drinking water. I have my crew going over to get some fucking, you know, nutrition, some food for me. I'm getting better. So now I stand up, like, wow, I'm able to stand up now because I wasn't able to. I was all lightheaded. And I'm going on this track, and I get to mile 81, and I wasn't going to make the time. I was moving slow.
You're behind time.
Way behind.
Okay.
And this is the craziest thing in the world, and I fucking shit you not. I'm in the worst shape of my entire life. Ever. I've never even been close to this. Again, never. Mile 81, I'm not gonna make the time as slow as I was moving. And when your body and mind connect, and I think this is the only time I've ever done this,
Okay.
you become a cyborg. I end up running 20 miles at about a 10, 15 mile. And get done with that race. I did 101 miles in 19 hours and 6 minutes. And to this day, and I don't detail it well with you, but in the book I do, I learned more from that 19 hours and 6 minutes than I did in all 3 Hell Weeks, Ranger School, and this is months. Ranger School is 60-something days. Hell Week and all the buds is 6 months. I was in buds for like 18 months. You know, I went through Delta Force selection twice, you know, pull-up records. I learned more in that one race that I wasn't prepared for. That 19 hours brought me from utter misery, happiness, failure, success, depression. I went through every fucking emotion in the world in 19 hours. And you should hear how the race ended. Then I really took a shit on myself. Like, I got in that blue chair when the race ended, and I literally, it just was over. I was in the worst shape of my life. I got in the tub, and they put the shower, or she put the shower on me. The showers hit me as I'm laying in the tub in the fetal position. And what came out of me looked like dirt as I'm peeing. It's not even blood. This is dark brown dirt. And I'm sitting there, and she calls my mom, and my mom has a doctor friend over her house. And this guy's one of the best doctors in the country. And he's like, you need to get him to the doctor now. So what I'm about to tell you is gonna fuck you up. So I'm sitting there, and I think I'm I think I'm gonna die. And worst shape of my life. And I'm in this tub and I'm jackhammering and I had this hot water hitting me and I'm literally in the worst pain, my shins, my feet, I'm broken. And I'm just sitting, I'm cramping up. And she said, we gotta get you to the doctor. You know, your mom's worried, I'm worried about, like, we've never seen this before in my life. And I go, I'm not going anywhere. Huh. I wanna sit here and enjoy this pain. Oh. And I know the listeners hearing this are gonna say, man, you're a fucking nut. No, I'm not. What I got a chance to experience in that 19 hours and 6 minutes of my life was something I didn't want any painkillers. This was proof positive. What I was feeling is what I just did. I did something without training, without coaching, without a cheering staff, without any knowledge. I took a raw human being with no training whatsoever, put him out in a condition, and just through this alone, got through it. Amazing. And I sat there and I was like, it was the best feeling I've ever had and will ever have in my entire. I was in the worst pain in my life, and it was the best feeling I ever had in my life. Not because of the pain I was in, but the pain was confirmation of, my God, did I just do that? Wow. And I had completed hell weeks, but that right there was like, don't take this from me. Man. And it was confirmation, proof positive that this young kid that came from shit, that wasn't shit, that lied and cheated I was now the truth. God. I was now the truth. I was a Navy SEAL. I went through Army Ranger School as honor man. I went through all this shit. I was truth. I became truth. There was no more lie. And what's funny about all that, man, David, is the people in my life who were in my life when I was bad, and I call it bad, wasn't bad. I had a fucked up way to go, man. They're still out there, and they know what the fuck I'm saying. I ain't gonna drop names on them. They want to take me back there. They're mad that I'm here. Yes. They want to still make me out to be what I was. Right, right. They don't like the fact that they're still where the fuck they're at. That's right. They hate that. So on this journey in life, there's a lot of people who are fucked up right now. On the journey, there's always be that motherfucker in the sewer you came from that's grabbing at your fucking ankle as you're leaving that sewer. That's when to drag you right the fuck back down because you figured it out. They're not willing to figure it out. There's not much to figure out. The only thing to figure out is this. And everybody has a different equation. My equation is different than yours. My equation was very different than most people's. And it's not about being sadistic. It was just about that right there was kind of like the moment of my life where I realized I don't like to say that I've arrived because you never want to have that I've arrived mentality because you stop. But that was the moment that I realized that I was the truth. Man.
I've done a lot of shows, but I don't go back and watch them that much. You know, I'll watch them a couple times when we do them. I'll go back and watch and listen to this last 10 or 15 minutes of We Talked About several hundred times. That's the most incredible thing I've heard. I'll just tell you straight up. That's the most incredible, beautiful, magnificent thing I've heard since I've been doing the show. Thank you for me for that.
I appreciate that.
I want to, that's just silly, crazy, awesome. I want to finish on a light note.
Okay.
I was saving this for the end because it's just ironic. So I'm a Rocky fan. Oh. But this is going to trip you out. I actually got chills. I was reading about you and prepping because I've known about you for a long time. And like, I got to have something in common with this dude, right? I got to have something in common with him. And so Sly's a friend of mine too now, which is really weird. But I'm a Rocky fan, but I'm really a Rocky 1 fan. But not only am I a Rocky 1 fan, I've watched the 14th round. Oh my God. See? Dude.
Now my chills are coming.
Yeah, I've watched the 14th round of the Rocky 1 movie I'll venture to say, I can't count them, but it's got to be more than 1,000 times in my life.
Easy.
And so when I was a little boy and all the turmoil in my life and the dysfunction in my family and the things I wanted to achieve, I learned to visualize in my life by watching Rocky. That was my visualization. The fitness part, the training, the overcoming stuff. There's just this little part of me that's like a little mini Rocky in there. It's why I love working out. And for me, it was the way he would take punishment. It's at the end of the 14th when he goes, cut me, Mick, and Mick cuts him, right? So they're gonna think we're both just crazy. But what have you watched that a couple times? And what did it do for you? I just wanna finish on this because like, this taught me to visualize and dream. There were no, my family's not like yours, but there's no dreaming or visualizations or motivation or go do something special. There was nothing like that in my house. I had Rocky, and mainly Rocky 1. I love them all, but like the Rocky 3 running on the beach scene, all that. But Rocky 1, 14th round at least 1,000 times. What about you?
No shit, at least 20,000 times. Why is that?
Yes.
I've dissected that 2 minutes and some seconds, 2 minutes and 13, 14, 15 seconds, at least 20,000 times. When I did the pull-up record, and I finally broke it.
Took you 3 times.
Yep, did 4,030 in 17 hours. I listened to one song for 17 hours, and it was going the distance. Oh my God. 2 minutes and 13, something, 14 seconds.
On a loop.
On a loop. But first, this guy named Nandor, he kept playing out loud for everybody. And I brought my own little iPad. I don't ever listen to music. But I was failing so many times at this record, I had to go to that place. So I said, you know what, I don't want to bore you all anymore with this same song, because I had a crew of people there filming it, you know, because it had to be documented. So I didn't want them to be there for 17 hours listening to the same song, kind of it boring. So I put it in my ears, listened the whole time. But I'm going to go a step further. In that round, when Rocky gets knocked down, and Mickey's saying, stay down, and he's getting up, Apollo Creed thinks that he knocked him out. So I have this thing called taking souls, okay? And when you see Apollo Creed turns around, arms in the air, I fucking got him. Do you see when he turns around and he sees, because Apollo Creed knows I was fucking this dude up. He kept coming after me, and I finally knocked him down. When he turns around and looks at Rocky and he says, and watches him get up, and Rocky gets his gloves and motions him to come to him, Apollo puts his head down and just goes like this. It's not so much Rocky getting up. That's big for me. Apollo Creed's face became every motherfucker that verbally and non-verbally looked at me, because you know that look they give you when you think that, you know, they may not tell you you're a piece of shit and you're nobody, but they look at you almost like, you poor thing. I got them all. I got them all on that, you know, that little wheel you have with everybody's name on it and phone numbers and shit. I got them all in that motherfucker in my head. And I spin that bitch every motherfucking day. And I know right now, whether you hate me, love me, I'm a fucking dick, I'm a this, I'm a that, whatever you want to think, I made it. And I know all of you motherfuckers are looking just like Apollo Creed did, because I just kept getting the fuck up. And all I wanted people to do in my life, I don't care about the fucking money, I don't care about the fucking fame, I don't care if all my followers go away tomorrow. I wanted a lot of people that doubted me to look like Apollo Creed did in that 14th round, because I got back up repeatedly. And when you keep on getting back up like that, no matter how strong the person is that's beating the shit out of you, they eventually look at you and say, you know what, I'm tired. And I just want people to be tired. Just be tired. I want to make you tired, because I just continue. So that's what that movie did to me. That movie changed how I looked at life.
Me too.
It did.
Me too.